At UniSQ, we have a multi-step student grievance resolution policy to ensure that your concerns are addressed in a fair and orderly way. In the previous video, we explored what a grievance is and how it can be resolved through informal resolution or a formal student grievance submission. However, if you are feeling dissatisfied with your outcome or another university decision, then you may be able to progress your submission further. In this video, we will explore Stage 2, Review of the Decision, and Stage 3, Appeal. The review of decision process provides an opportunity for the decision to be checked by a more senior decision maker. Importantly, not all grievances and decisions qualify for a review, so check your outcome notice for information on your eligibility and follow the instructions provided. To request a review, you must demonstrate that the original decision you received is invalid based on one or more of the 5 grounds. 1. There were relevant factors that the original decision maker did not take into account. This means that key information or evidence in the case appears to have been overlooked. 2. There were irrelevant factors that the original decision maker took into account but should not have. In other words, they focused too heavily on the information that was not important. 3. The original decision was incorrect given the circumstances in which the matter arose. This means your situation was misunderstood or not appropriately considered, which may have impacted the outcome or kind of decision-making that occurred. 4. There is additional relevant information which was not disclosed that may have changed the original outcome. 5. There were procedural errors where university guidelines were not correctly followed. Check your outcome letter for information on the policies relevant to your case. Identifying the grounds of your review is critical to drafting your review statement. Contact the Student Guild Advocacy Office for help with understanding the grounds and how they may apply to your situation. When drafting your request, remember that the person who will process your application may not be familiar with your case. So describe the original incident, the timeline of events, the action you have taken so far, and the formal decision you received from the university. You then need to explain why you believe the decision was incorrect based on one of the 5 grounds. You should provide supporting evidence to substantiate your claim, including any new information that has arisen since your first submission, and state the new outcome that you are seeking. Your submission should be comprehensive, so the decision maker does not need to request further information or evidence at a later time. And remember, your aim is to demonstrate why the decision on your case was incorrect, not simply repeating the original grievance submission. If you need advice while drafting your submission, you can contact the Student Guild Advocacy Office for support. When you are ready, submit your review of decision request through the online form. It will then be allocated to a decision maker for investigation, and they will either affirm the original decision, vary the decision, set aside the decision under review and make a new decision, or refer the matter back to the original decision maker with directions or recommendations. You will be kept informed throughout the process and will ultimately receive a notice with the new decision outcome. If you are a recipient of a Stage 2 review outcome, a finding of student general misconduct or student academic misconduct, or a decision related to a show cause submission after receiving a notice of intention to exclude, then you may be eligible to apply for a Stage 3 appeal. When lodging an appeal application, you must address one or more of the 4 grounds listed in university procedure. These include 1. The existence of substantial new evidence relating to the original student grievance that was not reasonably available during the Stage 2 review and would have likely resulted in a different decision. This means you have obtained documentation since the Stage 2 review which would support new consideration of your case. 2. There was a misapplication of policy or procedure resulting in some real disadvantage to the student. 3. The decision was manifestly incorrect or unjust or the penalty where applicable was disproportionate to the nature of the student conduct, the subject of the decision. This specifically relates to findings of student misconduct. 4. There was a failure on the part of the decision maker to afford the student procedural fairness, such as the influence of bias. The Student Guild Advocacy Office can help you understand the procedure and navigate the appeals process. Typically, you have 20 university business days from the date of the decision to submit your appeal application, but timeframes may vary, so check your decision notice for specific instructions. As with the review process, your appeal application should be detailed, comprehensive, supported by evidence, and state the outcome you are seeking. And if you are basing your appeal on a breach of policy or procedure, then be specific about the guidelines that you are referring to. When you are ready, submit the appeal through the online form. The case will then be allocated to the relevant responsible officer or appeal committee in accordance with procedure guidelines and the table of decision makers. At the end of their inquiry, they may either dismiss the appeal or uphold it and set aside the original decision or penalty, set aside the original decision and refer it back to the original decision maker to make a new assessment, or set aside the original decision and substitute a different decision or penalty. You will be informed of the outcome via a formal notice. The appeal stage is the last internal step in the grievance resolution process, so any further action must be directed to external agencies. These organisations will be listed in your outcome notice. Prior to contacting an external agency, you can speak with the UniSQ student ombudsperson, who can check that university policy and procedure has been correctly adhered to. Most grievances are resolved in the earlier stages of the resolution process, but we hope that this video has helped you to understand the relevant guidelines and steps involved to escalate your concerns if you need to.